You're now watching the advanced tutorial for the sketchbook for Element 3D. Here I will go a little bit more in depth about customizing the template. I will discuss the following subjects. The project overview, the main comp layer overview, tweaking a specific sketch, and changing the duration or timings of a page flip, or changing the duration of the animation and the movie itself. So first let's go through the project. On the left you'll find the main folders. First you'll have the placeholders folder. Contains all the placeholders. The first thing is all the sketches. So by placing a new image here, this will be converted to a sketch. The text that is displayed on the sketches can be found here. Please scroll a little bit forward to see the text, because there's a little animation there. And they both come together in the pages folder. So if we go to the corresponding number, page 1, here I can see nothing, but if I scroll forward I can see the text animation, and I can see the first outline of the sketch. And if I go further, it will be filled in, colored in. And this is my main page, which is the page that I see when I scroll through the timeline. And we also have one last placeholder, which is the front. The front placeholder has, you can basically put anything here. Here you can change text or stuff like that. And if you go back, it's what's displayed on the front of the book. Next up are the sketches. So the animation that you see here, the sketch, which is basically this comp. So if I open this one up, I can see the sketch. It goes from white to a sketch, and if we go further, it is colored in. There is a control layer here with some expressions to tweak this, but I will talk about that a little bit later. If I go back to the main product, so you have room for 29 sketches. For this template, only the odd numbers are used, because basically the animation only takes into account that there's a image here and not on the even page. But you can also use that, but you have to change all the camera movement. Photos is just a folder that can be used to place all your folders in, just to keep things organized. Various are various comps that are used throughout the project. Basically, most of them are the comps that are used to create the sketch effect. Best not to change anything here. Also some images that are used, and the page sources. These are the basically the sources or the input for the Element 3D textures. Element only allows 10 custom textures, and I have 29 pages, so that doesn't fit. So what I did was, basically you have one texture which has 4 pages on it, and that's how I get around using the limitation of only 10 textures. This is the front texture, so basically the composition for that. And of course we have the solids, which I think you all know. The main composition and the random me composition, which is basically only the main comp with a little fade in, fade out. But you can also use this to insert your own music, or maybe do some lost adjustments or effects to this composition. Okay, next up. What is next up? The main comp layer overview. So if I go to the main composition, I'll make this fit. First up is the cam controls layer. So if I go to the effects controls, I can see a bunch of expressions. These are all used to animate or control the camera movement. I have a couple of options like orbit, rotation, panning. If I change this, you can see that the camera is moving or rotating, I should say. So there are a couple of options, or orbit like this. You can, I'll undo. You can play around with this. If you look at, if I press U and I look at the keyframes, you can see that there's basically only keyframes at the beginning. That's this animation. So coming up to the book, zooming in. After that, it's only a small wiggle effect. That's here, and on the position of the null object. That's done so that you can see it slowly moving or wiggling a little bit, the camera that is. That's done to give it a little bit more of a realness to it. That is done with the wiggle effect, but with the expression, so you can control the speed, the amount of pixels it moves, or the amount it rotates. So you can play around with this, but I think these are the pretty good settings. There's also a depth of field checkbox, so if you want to quickly remove the depth of field, you can turn it off here. So if you see here, I can turn it on again. So the depth of field is always focused on this purple null object, the depth of field object. So if you zoom the camera out or in or move it, it's always focused on this object. It's also easy to then manipulate the depth of field, and you can really see where it is. So I'll undo that. I forgot to mention the camera. The camera has also a lot of keyframes, but that's basically only zooming in and zooming out. So it zooms in and zooms out, I should say. It zooms in again, and then so here you see a little bit of movement of the camera. That's the wiggle, and then I zoom in again. So you can play around with this. I'll make this a little bit. Oh, sorry for that. It's -80. That's a little bit too much. Something like this looks better. Next up is we have one light in the camera in the scene, which creates these shadows. You can see it better here. When these shadows are created by the main spotlight. You can even see it better if I go to the top view. You can see here the main spotlight. Next up are the turning pages control layer. This one is important. So if I go to, if I press U, you can see a lot of keyframes. So the scene basically consists of one object animation, which is the book flipping through the pages. And what I do is I play that animation, but I stop and start it. So here the speed of the animation is 0. Next keyframe it's 100. That is the moment that the book opens up, and when the book is fully opened, I stop the animation, 0. Then between these keyframes I can basically do what I want. I play the sketch animation, and here, next keyframe, you can see the animation starts playing again at a 100% speed, and when the page flip is done, it goes back to 0 again. Now I do that because then it will be easy to, if I have a longer animation, for example here, I only have to move these 4 keyframes around. So if I move it back, the book will stay open for a longer time, and if I want the page flip to come earlier, I can move it here. So now the page will flip and will flip again. As you may notice that there are a couple of more expressions. What I do here is that this is the main animation. It goes all the way through the end, and at the end of the animation you'll see all the pages are flipped, and then comes the animation that all the pages will flip back again. It's not okay. You'll notice that there this is not one page at a time, but multiple pages all at once. So I had to create a different object animation for that. So what I do here is that the book main is the main animation that's played here. That's the book that you see, and at the end of the movie I basically turn it off. So at this moment this book is gone, and the book close object animation will be turned on, and that has an animation that is also played at 100% speed, and that will close everything down. So maybe if I go to the scene setup of Element 3D, I can explain it a little bit better than what I'm doing now. So this is the main book. If I go to here, I can flip through the animation. So this is basically the animation of the book, and I also have a close book object, which is already here, and if I flip through this is where it closes. So I show this one first. At the end of the movie I turn this off and I switch to this one, and then I flip through this animation. I'll cancel this. So if you want to change the duration, you can modify this, maybe extend the animation, but if you extend it any further, then you have to also move these keyframes so that otherwise you'll get probably 2 books at once. So it's not what you want. So okay, that's the turning pages. The Element 3D layer also has a lot of markers on them, which I should explain. So if I zoom a little bit in, here you see page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, until all the way through page 29. What I do there is that when that first marker is reached, the animation on page 1 will start. So here you see, wait, let me create a new camera which isn't animated. Hold on for a sec. I'm sorry, so here the page is blank, then the animation starts. Maybe I can quickly render this. So at the moment of this marker the animation will start. So if I decide to change the page flip or the opening of the book to here, then the book will open, but the animation will have already started. So to easily control this, I only have to move this marker to the place where I want the animation to start. So it will be very easy to maybe change the moment of the page flip. So this will take a very long time. Page 2 doesn't have a sketch now, so I can ignore that. Here the page will flip, so I have to move all these markers here up. Move all these markers, so I want page 3 to start here. So now it will animate from here. Okay, that's all I have to say about that, I think. Let me check what I wanted to tell more. Oh yeah, tweaking a sketch, a specific sketch. So if I go to projects and sketches and go to sketch 1, here I place my image and I can see the sketch animation. If I want to change anything with this sketch because a certain picture doesn't really work, or you cannot see it well, or there are some things that you can do. So if I go to the effects control and I go to the control layer and I press U, I see a keyframe here on the 2-second mark. That's for here showing the sketch. So here you don't see it and it slowly becomes visible. So it's important that I go to this keyframe, and there I can set the cartoon threshold, which is I think the most important one. And here I can, if I lower this to 13, you'll see that there's less lines visible, and maybe when I do 20 there will be a lot of lines. I can also control the edge strength. You have to play around with this, because if I up this to 15, which is a lot, then you'll see a lot more lines and edges are visible, and this is the more extreme. But you can play around with this, maybe this to 15 again, maybe this to 10. So if I scroll forward, I can see the colors, and that looks pretty good. I can there are some other expressions as well which you can play around with. The color, for example, if I turn it up to 100, you'll get a more flat color. This helps when you have a lot of bright colors in your original image. There's also the contrast, which you can increase. Is useful for some photos. This photo also is already quite light, so best not to change anything with the contrast. The cartoon edge is basically the thickness of the lines that you see. So if I make this 10, it will become much thicker. Edge blur is used to create the sketch effect. It's best to leave this one alone, but if I change this, you'll get different effects. You could play around with that. Let's back to 3. Yeah, smart blur is used to create the sketch as well, so you can play around with it, but best not to. No, this also looks good. Best leave it on the default value. Okay, so that's a specific sketch. What did I have? Changing duration and timings. I already discussed that, because that's basically the markers that you see here. turning pages keyframes which you can move in pairs. Yeah, I think that's about it. Yeah, sorry about this a little bit messy tutorial, but I don't have time to really write everything out and do a lot of editing. So I hope this was useful, and I hope you'll create something nice. As a extra, I just want to mention that what I like to do is, if you go to Graphic River from Envato, there are a lot of painting effects and drawing effects, action effects that are pretty cheap, which I really like to use because they can do things that we cannot do in After Effects. So, for example, if you use this one, you can also create your effects in Photoshop and then bring them into the sketchbook template. So, for example, if I go to the placeholders and go to the pages, say page 1, and I drag my own image in here. So this is an image that I created in Photoshop. I can just place it here, maybe the text up, so I have the text. So now if I go to the main composition, go to the first page, I have this image, which I really like. So, just to give you an idea. I hope you like it, enjoy, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.